this is Jennifer Lopez. And actually, that looks like a Hitler mustache. I've changed my mind.
And my interpretation is incest.
And we gotta hurry up and get this ritual shit going out.
Pops. Yeah, fishbacks.
Hey, do diamondback snakes actually eat corpses?
Nothingness.
My name is Christopher Albright. This is Panel by Panel, a show in which we read your favorite comic books. And today with me is a man of 1,001 hot takes, Mr. Anthony Stokes. How are you doing today?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
That is so much energy. You have great energy already.
Hey.
Bring it up for me. How are we doing today?
Holy shit. Thanks for
Holy shit, guys.
Holy fuck, man. What's up?
So give a little backstory here. Me and Anthony Stokes, we have butted heads a number of times. I disagree with him on a lot of things. However, I have to respect not only the passion that he has for comics, but the fact that I told him this book that we're about to read is not my favorite book. And asked if he wanted to come on the show and defend it. And he said yes, and that takes balls. Is there anything you want to add to this before we actually even open this up and start going?
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, any opportunity to talk comics, yeah. And at that point that you invited me, I really didn't like you that much. So it was like, oh yeah, I get to confront this guy on camera, a billion percent. But now it's like, we cool, like we understand each other better, like. So I mean, I'm really excited for this. Yeah,
we're gonna see how cool we are by the end of this, because I have some hot takes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started now. I want to say a wise man once said, "Marketing is a comic book making skill."
Oh,
and
wow!
One of the big key pieces to prove that is the cover of a comic book. That is the most raw, pure form of marketing. You have to make that show on a shelf and make people flip through the pages. When it comes to your cover, how much input did you have?
I had lots of, and that's you did your research, bro. Because I said that like 3 years. Yo, that's crazy. This is some noir shit. I had a lot of influence on. I would say that this book, and the reason why I'm really proud of it is I had the most influence. I have pretty much had as much influence as you can have as a writer on the visual language and like a lot of the visuals in the book, including the cover. There was this really cool Eric Sinet cover. No, it wasn't even a cover. It was a sketch he did, and the wing was silhouetted. It was Batwoman, Batgirl, and it had like the penguin, and it had kind of that Cartoon Network style. And I was like, I went to my artist. I said, I really like this, and he gave me a couple options, and he said, all right, boom, And so, and actually, the way it was that it was Nephthys and Set on the same wing. And I said, no, I like Set by himself. Like I like thematically that he is separate from the rest of his, siblings, like his family essentially.
Okay. So that's a great answer. Actually, I didn't even realize that he was separated. I do have a question though about the fonts. Papyrus is one of the most hated fonts. Why double down on it? Why not just do a logo?
I didn't know that it was hated, but a logo. I mean, this is a logo. Why didn't I have to go with traditional font? I wanted something that was different. It's a lot of letters, like it's a lot of words, and anytime you have that many words, it's going to be hard to find the right form. And that's just what I landed on.
Okay.
And it wasn't easy to kind of. It's tricky because the cover is black, white, black. If you're reading left to right, it's black, white, black, essentially, as far as the back. So it had to have an outline. It had to stand out against both. It was crazy. So
actually,
low-key, one of the hardest parts of making the book.
I was going to say that I can see it now because I've done the graphic design before, and that's terrible to go through. Okay, so that is our cover. That's our main piece. The next part is the back inside cover. Who didn't carry their weight on your team today?
I can't. Who didn't carry my weight on my team? What are you talking about? The back inside.
Who was the weakest link? Probably ESK. Is that right?
Man,
terrible lettering.
I can't go there. I can't go there. You can you be the judge of that, bro. I can't
ESK was the man who taught me how to letter. I love ESK to death. So love you, sir. Let's talk about the first 2 pages. This is a not safe for work comic. For you, what does that mean?
So, a not safe for work comic. I mean, I might even disagree with that, honestly.
Oh, is
Like,
it not?
well, I think it has a connotation. So it really depends on how you feel about it. Like
Mm,
how you and I feel like you kind of, and I guess my problem with a lot of this stuff, a lot of these conversations is they get flattened, right? Like you have people that have these generalizations about your catalog and they haven't even, read it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I appreciate us reading it. Like this definitely has NSFW elements, but it's really like 3 moments out of an otherwise like 26-page book. So I wouldn't call it that. Like I could hand this book to my mom and be like, yeah, I made this. Like I don't think it's like super duper. Travis thinks that the cover makes it, like having the covers makes like having nude cover options makes NSFW. I just think there's a lot of nuance there. So you
okay,
asking
so
me?
I
Yeah.
fully agree on that because when I was reading it, I said, how is this not safe for work? There's some boobs here, but I don't understand beyond that. And so I was curious if there were different levels or nuances to it.
I
So
think so.
we'll wait till we get to the next scene to discuss that more. Let's talk about the actual first page. This is an Egyptian story that's already been done.
Yes,
Um,
that's fact.
you, how much research went into it? Because when I was reading it, it felt like it was beat for beat the exact story. That was another one of my complaints on it.
Yeah. So for let me. You mind if I give like the overall, I guess my thought process for the book real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah,
No.
absolutely,
So
please.
so the way I look at it is my catalog. I look at every book as filling a niche in a sense. So back in the day when I did my third, fourth convention, all I had was horror, and I would say, "Hey, do you
Mhm,
like horror?" And somebody would be like, "No," and I'd be like, "All right, have a nice day." And so ever since then, I kind of built out, and then I did horror, and then I did a wrestling book, and then I did a manga, and then I did sci-fi. Like I just kept building out, and I didn't have a fantasy. So this is kind of my fantasy, and as well like my best-selling books. This is another reason why I kind of object to the NSFW thing because my best-selling book is my first ever book, Decay. Like I've sold like well over 1,000 copies of that book,
mhm.
and while I love it and it makes my table a lot of times. Still with all the additions, it's not reflective of where I think I was at with the creator. And so every once in a while, I'll make a book where I think, okay, I'm trying to have some kind of, what do you call it, when you dig something, you bury something and dig it up, like a time capsule of where I was at in
Mhm.
terms of visual language, you know what I'm saying? And I had some people might call this cringe. I had a comment in Discord where I was like, like one of the top visual storytellers in the Discord. People like had a good time with that. That's what I mean in terms of setting up an artist to do a good job, like table
Mhm.
setting, essentially. That was a big point of emphasis. So the idea for this issue was not let me retell it in like a lore Olympus, Hades, like the video game style. It was like, what what do I think can provide the like what can show off my talents as a writer that's missing from the rest of my catalog. Essentially, I didn't have anything that had a lot of VO. I didn't have anything like, basically I want to be able to hand this to an editor and be like, yeah, I put the art team together and I can do something. I can do a superhero book if you need it. To me, that's how I contextualize it. You know what I'm saying? Like how the Batman lore is essentially like the same events, or the Spider-Man is the same events. That was kind of my take, is like, all right, cool. Like
Okay. Okay.
I'll do that and kind of add. I do think that saying that doesn't give enough credit to the story flourishes, what we'll get into. But yeah, as far as the beats, yeah, it's the same beats. You know what I'm saying? Is this like my most creative book ever? Absolutely not. And I think you said you liked I Don't Give a Fuck About Aliens better. And my thing was, I have the silly, goofy, you know what I'm saying, colorful. Obviously, it's colorful, but I have the goofy, kind of something that you might like. I don't have like kind of I hate to say prestige as a genre, but whatever your idea, boom, I don't have that on my table. So that was the impetus behind the book.
Okay. So that makes more sense as far as why it was going beat for beat for me. Let's talk about the very first page, because you have to really hit when you do that first page. What was your decision process on this?
I wanted something that kind of set the tone for the fantasy aspect of it. And I always wanted to try to at least be creative with how we were explaining the lore. Like, the idea was new. I feel like it was just some shapeless thing. I was like, okay, how do we show that visually? And this is where I had to give Andrea a lot of credit in that. And this is funny. This first page was actually, I think, one of the last pages we did, because he could not get it done. He could not nail it. Was he was like, it's hard for me to kind of conceptualize this. I said, yo, let's put a pin in this. We finished the rest of the book. I said, bro, I have so much faith in you. I think now that we understand each other better, our collab is better. Can you circle back? And he did a great job.
I'm gonna stop you there, because I want to know more about sending art back to the artist. How often do you do something like that?
Yeah, I've been known as meticulous. people said that about me, and I think when I work with an art, I think there's a couple ways to go about it, and this is something our mutual friend Brayden does as well. You can spin high for like the experienced artist, and what you get, and they'll nail it, or you can try to kind of buy low on like a younger artist, and that's what I did. And especially seeing as this was, like I said, the visuals are very important to me in terms of like the language and all that stuff. So this was one of the few pages that we did like 3 times. Sketches. We did like 3 times. And I like Andrea was so one of my favorite artists to work with. Super fun guy. He ended up like I don't want to say simpler stuff, but the less abstract stuff, he just nailed it. And I was like, okay, cool. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I think he's ready for that page. And we went back at the end. Yeah.
All right, and the page does look great. Sometimes you open with a big bang, right? That's a lot of shows and series that have the big bang. This was not. This is water forming into people. This is the beginning of their creation.
Yeah.
Let's go into the next page. Then we have our 2 guides that created everyone else. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah. So one thing, also, the idea was that this is a set. We're focused on this kind of group of gods, and this is something that's going to be explained like later in terms of world building. There are other gods, but this is just the parents of the 4 characters that are essential in this story, like in this particular issue. So we'll explore the gods. So the gods are just not like I don't know if they're the very first gods. I think they are just 2 set of gods that we happen to be focusing on, and then they kill me on the Nile. That's Osiris. So there could be other gods out there that, that we can explore or what have you.
Okay, so I wasn't entirely certain about their placement. I didn't know if it was a Zeus type situation, but we do have the next page, which is the sex scene leading into a bunch of people coming out of water. Give me some ideas on your thought process here.
Yeah, so the idea that everything has to deal with the Nile. I think again, I thought Andrea did a great page. I had the idea for her skin being made of the sky. I forgot. I mean, I'm not the first person to like come up with that, but that was like something that was very important to me, and he did a good job. I think Juan did a good job of differentiating the skin versus the Nile water. And then the idea is that when the gods have, when they have sex, the kids emerge. Like, they don't give birth like vaginally, and this will be important later on. But this is just more so just kind of table setting, like kind of like some world building that's not like super plot important, but in this moment, but just kind of like gives us the start of these characters.
So you said later on, that was another thing. I read this comic in a vacuum. I understood this comic to be a one shot. That was another reason I didn't like it. I said, this just doesn't tie up anything. This is awful. It just kind of stops.
Yeah.
So understanding that there is a little bit more that's supposed to happen, how much foreshadowing might be in the first 4 pages, if any?
I don't think there's a foreshadowing. Like I said, the idea of emerging from the Nile is important. That is going to be important later. I'm with you. Like I could have done it too because to me, and this is I see a couple mistakes on here, like lots of energy. I think it's idiosyncratic. I don't know if I would make that choice again. And then I guess like a to be continued, like would be because to me, and I guess we'll get to it later. We start with the POV character, not the POV character. The VO character gets introduced at the end, essentially. So it's like to me, it's like, of course, there's going to be more. But like I think that's valid. Like you could have done a to be continued type. You know what I'm saying? Like that's fair.
Page after that, page 4. I enjoy the way that this is actually done because this is really important that there's chemistry between what are the characters' names for me?
Isis and Osiris, and then Set and Nephthys. And like it was once again we kind of have we're kind of framing things and like like Set characterization of Set was kind of like the last piece of this, and that was like all kind of everything is kind of building that way. But also the idea, and this is something that kind of this is another thing that would like really play into a later issue, is the idea is that like they're set in their ways, like they are fully the reality is that they're on a crash course essentially, and they can almost like I don't know if you watch Title Time, but almost like Eren Yeager, like the idea or like there's a set path and like you can't really escape the path. So that was kind of the impetus behind this.
Okay, that's solid. CJ Hudson has one of the first comments of my favorite. 2 of the biggest scumbags in comics having a conversation. How convenient.
Hey, can I say something real quick? He said he thought Alcy might be. I don't give a fuck about aliens. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Sorry, CJ, he got us there. By the way, back Alcy. Anyway, let's go on to the next page.
Oh yeah, you want to keep going?
This is page number 5. Go ahead. So this one's a little more messy for me. Go ahead and explain what you're trying to do here on this page.
Yeah. So the idea is that again, these are one characters that they didn't establish Egypt. Like these are gods, and I guess this would be a second or even third generation, which isn't like is true in the lore, but I don't know if we explained it here. But the idea is that Osiris is kind of the god of bounty. It's not said the god of bounty, but essentially they're hot. And then Osiris comes in, and then just to me, this is like a thing that I would say was a different from the lore. It's like he creates I don't even know if they say he creates the irrigation system, but I thought it'd be cool, like a cool manga, anime moment for him to like do a strike, and that he's so powerful that it creates the irrigation system in of itself,
So the bottom scene on page 5, you have him with the sickle up. It's supposed to look like he's going to attack the guy, right?
Not necessarily attack. Okay. I wouldn't say attack. He's about to do something. I wouldn't say he's about to. I don't know that is the framing.
Okay. That wasn't just looking when I was skimming it. I said, well, I kind of see it like this. I'm a little confused. When it comes to your actual paneling itself, the paneling is fantastic. I love paneling like this. How much input do you put into that, or is this all artist?
And again, the artist deserves the majority of the credit, right? Of course. So, I will have a say in paneling. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to say that I have a say in paneling. I guess that's the way to put it. Like, if the paneling doesn't work for me, I'll be like, yo, can we circle back? I'm not somebody who sits there and like, does like a diagram or something of that. I just feel like that point, I might do that if I feel like the artist isn't getting it, but I feel like that's stifling creativity at that point. That's stifling collaboration at that point.
Well, let's talk about your script writing then. How much detail do you put into the script for them to understand? Because I'm looking at it. The first one is 6 panels. The next one is about 5. How much detail are you putting into this, or are you just letting them free reign and go for it?
I think it's kind of selfish to just unless you know them. Like I do know, like I have another guy who I do Cyborg Girlfriend with Jack Dunn, and we're so cool, and he's so like he's such a technician. we had a, I don't know if you saw, we have a 19 panel page in Cyborg 3. And it wasn't my fucking idea. I said, hey, just in that, for that, I was like, yo, just do some action, do your thing. Because he told me I could. And so people like, oh, you made him do a 19 panel page. He fucking, you know, he did it on himself, his own. So something like this, it's usually within like one, they might add a panel, subtract a panel, but you generally, I'm like, all right, here's what I want to happen. Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes I'll be like, I want this to be a vertical panel. I want this to be a horizontal panel, you know, like, so like I said, it's about finding that balance between stifling creativity. You're not trying to stifle creativity. You want them to feel like they have a say. That's when people are going to work hardest for you, is when they feel like they have a say in it. You know what I'm saying?
So do your scripts not have panels numbered out?
No, they do.
Okay.
For that guy on the other book, that one page didn't have it, and he did his own thing. And there might be a situation where that's the case, you know, for Andrea, right? It might be like, it's an action scene, do your thing, but that's not where we're at right now.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about what we've learned so far. This is 6 pages in. We've learned about the parents. We've learned that they are born in the river, and we learned that this man has created the irrigation systems. Anything else you wanted to push narratively in 6 pages? Because comics, you only have so many pages to work with. I always think you have to go fast, fast, fast.
Yeah, I kind of wanted it to breathe, and I do think the story ends up going fast, but I kind of wanted to let things breathe for now, you know, because it's not, this stuff isn't like directly plot related. Like it's not like it's got some plot, but to me it was like it could just be so easily as him like just digging it out, right? But I was like, all right, things to be more dynamic. So no, this is it. I feel like we got the character dynamics down. Like you can see Seth Hayden, you can see Seth Hayden in the bottom right. The character acting in this is so good. That's why I was laughing. Like I feel like I've set up everything I need to in terms of just like the first not the first act, but like the first 6 pages, like you said.
So is you consider this the first act? We're gonna move forward just a little bit, and this be the second act, or when
this
do you think
is the first act? But I guess this is I'm kind of getting everything across that I want to. I guess I should say.
Okay.
At that point.
We're moving on to the dinner table scene. This is where I felt the comic started. I could have taken all those pages and just condensed it down to 1 page. Mentally, I was like, this should have felt shorter to me. Start here and then move on from that. That was another one of my gripes for the comic itself. But go ahead and let me know what you were trying to do on these 2 pages.
Yeah, I guess I hear you. And like I said, the Jeb and Nut thing isn't like super important, like plot wise, but I just feel like I feel like when I look at a lot of great storytellers, they world build, they're kind of like Scott Snyder, for instance. Like he does a little bit of world building, a little bit of story. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like kind of like almost like one foot in the other. You know what I'm saying? So just I feel you on that. I think you would lose maybe some characterization. You would lose like the admiration. Like I think you get to see there's more like showing than telling. You know, in that instance, like we get to see why Osiris is loved. You know what I'm saying? Like they were fucking dying in the heat, and then he comes in. You know what I'm saying? And I think like if he, how do I put this? That to me, that would be a straight up adaptation. If this started now, that would just be a 1-to-1, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, if you see me looking over, I'm just looking at my Kickstarter. I'm locked in.
Oh no, you're fine. Hakimi just commented, "Yo yo yo."
What's up? Yeah, Hakimi, you was mad when he said he fucked with this one. He was hot.
All right. So let's go back to this page. Now, there's not a lot of action to these 2 scenes. That's another one of those things that you hear from time to time is there needs to be a lot of action. The most action we've had so far is a little bit of a sex scene and then someone making an irrigation system. So tell me what your thoughts are. What type of comic is this so far?
I think it's a fantasy comic, you know. Like I think it's taking its time. I think it's a fantasy comic, and like again, the really it's about the dynamic between these 4 characters, like their relationships. How are they doing? How are they feeling? And I think we're set it off good. And as well as this is like, to me, this looks like a storyboard for like a really cool animated show, you know. I think the art is beautiful. I love what Andrea did, and then what I mean, to me, these 2 pages is probably the best looking of the book.
Absolutely.
You know, like we get into some low light. We got some orange, we got some blue. I love the wing color is crazy. The acting, I mean, I'm just in awe of what Andrea and Juan did. But just trying to set the stone and keep things rolling.
So art wise, absolutely no arguments here. Art wise has been incredible the whole time. I do want to talk about the first part of this page here. We have showing the affection between. Is it Set or what are the two names? I apologize.
It's Osiris and
Osiris is
Isis.
showing the affection with Isis, and just showing that and the separation between the other two characters, helping drive that wedge. We also have him treating um, him like a little brother with his hands on the shoulders, looking
Yeah,
down almost. And then the next page, you have the two characters sitting together in the moonlight. This is kind of a tropey scene, but at the same time, it does what it needs to do. It's perfect in the light, in everything. You see a loving bond there, and it means something towards the end. That's my favorite panel, and there's one other panel that we'll talk about that's my favorite panel. These two pages really, I think, were the strongest of the pages and my favorites of all the pages, storytelling wise. Um, we'll go ahead and move a little bit further because now we get to see. I, what's the brother's name? See, this is where I'm bad.
Set.
Set. Oh my God. Okay. Osiris and Set. There.
Yeah,
Listen, this is it.
like,
I know
this
the
is the same old
Greek.
lore.
I don't
You
know
can't even remember.
nothing. Rob, good stuff, y'all. Love the format and the interview. Thank you. You're doing great. Let's talk about these pages. We get to see Set and how he interacts. Go ahead and tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, so and this it is what it is. This page is like it's a little low res. I think like this second panel is one of the best looking. And again, like I don't
lighting
for I don't think a comic should necessarily like to me this kind of looks like the Disney villain series. Like it's kind of like this looks like a storyboard. Like if you show me a screenshot of this, I'm like, oh, this is a cartoon I want to fucking watch. That's kind of like the vibe I get here. And I'm just in awe of the art that these two gentlemen did.
Art's fantastic, but let's talk about your writing. Let's talk about what you're doing here,
there, bro. I'm getting there. But again, I told you this was the taste making, like kind of setting the table for them to do their thing. Mm-hmm. And as far as the writing, I think visually, if you wanted to say like a good rule of thumb for visual storytelling, if you don't need the dialogue, then I think that's doing a good job. So you can see Set, he's like taller, but he's almost like he's alienated, himself. He's not Osiris. Like they're like, oh, we thought he was Osiris. He's not, And the next panel is beautiful. And Osiris shows up and it's like, ooh, yeah, shit, cool. It's like it feels so weird breaking this down. And we see more Set, and we're seeing Set and Nephthys' dynamic, and kind of like the resentment that they have and stuff like that. Yeah. So if I don't have much to say, I feel like it's kind of evident. But
no, I understand. But at the same time, we're trying to help explain it for everyone else too to understand. This is to help people learn how to write better. Hakimi, this page cooked me famously. I literally got confused what was happening here. Oh wow, he got confused on this.
Who said that?
Hakimi, could you tell me a little bit more about what confused you? Because I'm going to talk about the page itself. This is a good dynamic against the Osiris page in which you have the irrigation system. It's green, it's beautiful, it's lush. Here, all the colors kind of come out, right? Your color scheme turns to this bronze and black color scheme with a little bit of blue. I love colors in comics. I love how they tell stories without needing to tell the stories. How much input do you have on colors?
About the same as like paneling and stuff like that. Like, I will say Juan was, in my opinion, more experienced than Andrea. Like Juan just kind of got it, and Juan was great. I found Juan actually on Kickstarter, and so I already knew that he could do his thing, So it was something like I said, my thing is like if it's working, if it's not broke, what I'm saying, don't break it. Yeah, like Absolutely. So I can have a lot to say about colors, and it could be that I made a lot of color notes on this particular page, but overall I didn't feel like I had to.
Okay, let's talk about what Hakimi says. He says the pacing here was a bit too fast. The speed at which Set appears doesn't allow for enough time that recognized Set had calmer after some time and not had come after some time and not just with them. There's barely had come after some time and not just with them. There's barely half a panel between Set and Osiris turning up.
I
So
feel
it's a
that,
speed issue in his head.
and I think this is fair. Yo, Braid is messy. You a messy boy. And this is like what's interesting is because you said the comic is moving too slow. He said the comic is moving too fast. And I think y'all are both like, I think it's fair. Like I think that's a fair critique from Hakimi. Could I have added a page here and more time? Yeah, sure. But I feel like you kind of got it. Like, I feel like that first panel, you kind of understand. Like, this is almost more so like that panel that we found him in when Osiris showed up, So I feel like it's a thematic bridge essentially. And then he shows up and it's like, oh, what I'm saying? But also something that, and again, this is for future issues, so it has to stand on its own, right? But the idea is that the gods, we're seeing it through a retrospective through the voiceover character, and we're seeing it from the gods' perspective, and they live for thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of times where it's like it's a jump and a skip. It doesn't mean it just happened, but the way that they perceive time is a lot faster because they've been alive for 1,000 years. Got to stand up on its own. I think that's a fair critique.
Are you able to see the comments for Hakimi's next comment before we
Yeah,
move
I'm
on?
looking. Can you put them on the screen?
You know what? I have no idea what I'm doing. So no. Hey, look, you can. Look at that.
There
There's a
you
little
go.
thing.
Oh, you're
Look at
welcome.
that.
Oh, you're
This
welcome.
is professional. This is real
This is
professional.
pro. Yo, you're doing
Okay,
it. Yo,
what-
you're good at this.
I'm trying.
Yo,
Okay.
you're doing. Which let me not that Cyrus as well as not letting this Set and his wife. See, I think so Hakimi's thing is that he wanted more development between Set and Nephthys, but I think the point was that they are fully formed. We don't really have to establish chemistry because they have it or they don't. They just don't. There's not really a justification for it. But it's like, I'm not saying that he's wrong, but I think we kind of addressed that, and there was nothing that I could have done to address that without undercutting, what I'm saying, the pacing or what have you. But fair.
I'll stand with you on that because you do address it at the very start. You address the tension at the very start of the book. It's not something that I think like this right here. It's something I just understand already. You do have him feeling like she slept with him. Is that right? That she cheated on him?
Yes. So you kind of see Osiris. I'm pointing like you can see. So the first we kind of see again, we get so many panels of Set just being alone, which I really like, and that, again, that was something that was really important for me. We see Osiris leaving the room. We see the door colors the same, like I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's super duper obvious. I'm not gonna do that. But to me, and also I think it's cool for a book to be reread. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's okay if not everything is like, when I read a damn Hickman book, I don't get everything on the first read. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, am I saying that I'm like on a level with Jonathan Hickman? Yes, absolutely. The next panel, yeah, he slept with her, and then we get that little cuck moment. And I love what Jan did. So this is kind of like this, and this is the start of the conflict, and this is more or less a 1-to-1. You know what I'm saying? For the lore. So I think I think your argument is most valid here.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. But we do have that. These 2 pages are meant to have that moment to where Set is going to feel the anger and proceed to what happens next. So this is an important scene to have. Let's go ahead and we'll move forward. And this is the one after this is the one that was my second favorite panel. But let's go ahead and talk about what leads up to it. Tell me what's happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of, like, again, it's like that contrast. So the people love Osiris, like we see that, and then this guy's talking shit. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of credit here. I think the dialogue is I'm gonna be honest. I think it's phenomenal. Where he's like, hey, like he's gonna get us to grow grain from dirt, and he says like the earth is drier than the space between Nephthys' legs unless Osiris is around. So he's being emasculated. And that's when Set shows up. And it's funny because I think he gave him pupils in panel 4. He doesn't have pupils anywhere else. I can't really see. But once again, I mean, like, you know, and then I mean, and this would be the argument. This would be the argument where I would say this is completely new. Like these two, like this is actually 3 pages. These 3 pages are completely this is added. This is a Stokes. This is a Stokes joint. You know what I'm saying?
I have a question real quick about the Stokes joint. First off, Akimi says the pages are beautiful. And yes, I messed up when I was fixing the PDF so that we could see this, but this double page spread, if the double page spread is not in the center of a comic, when you open it up completely, it's going to lose a bit of art.
Yeah.
Did you do that with this double page spread, or did you just let it go?
It's right in the middle.
It's right in the middle.
It's right in the middle, man. See, this the kind of shit y'all think I don't. Not y'all. Let me chill. This is the kind of shit people don't think I think about, but it was a happy accident. But I was very happy to. I was very happy to find that it was right in the middle. Yeah, absolutely. So to me, this is kind of where I'm at. To me, a comic is at its best when the writing and the coloring and all the elements are kind of together. And again, it was me. I said I wanted 30 panel page, you know what I'm saying? Double page. And I think it was, I'm not going to say who said this, but somebody in Discord was like, I would never do a 30 panel page. And it's like, you would never work for me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't like you, because what if that's what it requires? You know what I'm saying? Like, then I got to find somebody else. And this is the benefit of working with like the younger dudes is that they're hungry. Like they don't know that it's like ill-advised. They don't give a fuck. They're like, yeah, like 30 pages, let's go. And to me, this is like one of my proudest pages that saying. So
it's good. It's really good. Everything about it, the way that the panels are also the cracks in the dirt and it goes in between. He crushed this page. The one thing that really stood out for me was the understanding that if my subject matter is directly in the center of a double page spread, and I see it happen all the time, and I get so annoyed. I'm like, no, you got to move them. There's wherever this book is, or wherever it's placed in the book, it needs to be moved unless it's right in the center. So, being a happy accident looking like this, it's great.
Are there really accidents? Also,
answer that question. I don't know. No, stop. Answer the question. Was it or wasn't it?
It was so long ago, bro. Who can
say?
It
was an accident.
But I will say 2 things. This was also very technically because this is another page we went back over and I was like, all right, bro. Like I had the idea for the panels being the dry dirt.
Okay.
That was me.
It was a great choice then. And that's one of those things where like a writer isn't an artist, but sometimes the ideas are really good. So
it's not, I mean, then I also want to give my other artist Cyborg do the Cyborg series, Jack Dunn, because they were like, look, let me give you a little, peek behind the scenes. So before the guy wasn't in the center, before it was just the panels, and then the dude was like, you need something to rest your eyes on. I'm reading whenever I need inspiration, I'll just start reading shit. I'll start reading, watching movies. There's a Demon Slayer panel that granted it didn't have this many panels, but kind of had a similar thing with the background. And there was somebody, he said, you need something to rest your eyes on. And I was like, okay. And it was the guy at the bottom, kind of like how I'm framed right now. I basically had a frame. And I was like, oh, this is what you meant. He said, yeah, sent that over to him. We got it. You know what I'm saying? So I want to point out that craft is super duper important to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're learning from everything that we take in, all media that we consume. We're constantly learning new things. On to my favorite actual panel and the second favorite actual. This page is great. I really can't argue this page from the seeds sprouting and everything. Is this actually from the story, the Egyptian story? This was written by you? Where'd this come from? Where'd this idea come from? Because it's good.
I had the idea. I got you. Yeah. So I had the idea. First off, and this is a paneling idea for myself. I wanted a vertical panel so that we can see the spear. I guess the idea, I like the idea. I want it to be poetic. I want it to be metaphorical. I want it to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and the idea was that Set is just he's almost like Loki. Loki was the point of reference that I had. even when he's being destructive, like he builds to destroying essentially because he can't help himself. So that was kind of the impetus for this particular scene. And I mean, it's one of my favorite parts. And I think, like, you know, for this might be a scene Hakimi would say was going too fast. But like I said, the idea was that they just perceived time really, really fast, you know? And then, of course, he like goes to see Osiris. And we did the new stuff. So now we get into the I guess the samey, not the same, but the traditional lore of yeah.
Okay, so that's a good answer actually to show me where the twists happen, because you did break away from that traditional lore, and then you know the man's just been cucked. He's just had to kill someone. He's kind of broken at this point. Hakimi, real quick, the second page makes me giggle. I know it's on purpose or it's not on purpose, but his scrunched face looks so effing funny. Thank you, Hakimi.
Sure. Sure.
Anything else to say about the page after this? Because one of my biggest complaints in a lot of comics is when it's just kind of talking heads and there's not a lot happening. I feel like more action could be added to just about every panel. What's your thought process when writing something like this?
I agree with you. I don't ever want that, you know? So again, this is stuff that I'm writing in terms of, I don't want two panels to look alike unless it's intentional. So, you know, we're in the Capitol. We have to show the guards because that's important later. And then I like this where he's kind of like, he's like, yo, I need help, you know? And then so boom. You know, he's playing dumb. He like the idea, this is Thor and Loki, right? It's like, okay, he's so earnest that he doesn't even see, you know what I'm saying? Like he sees the best in people. And then so we go from there. But I think, like I said, Andre did his thing, you know.
Okay. All right. The middle bottom panel with him with his hands up, it really does help the idea that he's just gullible and just lovable. Like it's a great posture for him. We'll go ahead, we'll move a little forward because this is where things take the turn. Tell me what went through your mind when writing this. What did you want it to show?
Yeah, I mean, this is like more or less the actual beats are like just the lore. But what's important for me was kind of that switch. Like this is how Osiris won by being genuine, but he loses because he doesn't understand that. He says that not everybody wants to be treated equally. Like his cynicism is winning him this fight. Essentially, that was like really important. And this is like, I think this is a great dark fantasy page. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like, this is where it's like, all right, this is the grit. And, you know, this is where I'm kind of like, almost like where we kind of, you know, we lean into a little bit of the Game of Thrones of it, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. You have 2 pages for this. This is another one that was right. I felt like it could be one. Why go 2 pages on this?
I mean, why make it one though? Like I guess you could, but I feel like you would lose a lot. Like what we have here.
You'd lose a lot, but at the same time, it felt like 2 very similar pages, and I was just looking at it, going, I wonder if there's a way it could have been condensed down or something changed on a different page. Complete argument against that?
I think like I said, I think what you lose, I think you would either lose. You couldn't have panel 2 on the first page or the last panel on the second page. And I think they're both really, really good. I think like I wouldn't want that. And even the moment, like to me, this is so much, there's so much character in it. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that Osiris is like, is this a joke? You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't even understand. He's about like, he can't even like conceptualize that Set is like on some demon shit, you know? And I think you lose that. So again, it's a thing of like, I mean, this one I disagree with. This one I kind of disagree with. That's straight up. I don't even know what you.
In my head, that first page, I would take off the whole top, just do the bottom half of the page, shrink down the little faces, have that in my head. That's where it's like, I don't need to see the coffin. But that's where I wanted to argue one point. So great pages, Albright. Great pages, Albright is hating. Of course, yes, you're right, CJ. I'm sorry. We'll move on. We'll move on. Let's see what happens next. This
I
is
think I'm
our
converting them though. It's all good.
so we throw him into the Nile.
Yeah, so this was like a little thing that I like a little nod that of the ridiculousness of the situation that I was really excited about. Like these little moments where I feel like my voice can peek through where it's like, you slept with my sister, and he's like ISIS? Like, no, like, you know, and kind of point out the absurdity of it. I like what Andrea did with the chaotic kind of, I don't know what the hell those are, like tones. What the hell you call those? I like that. And then there was actually a lot, like essentially in the script, the idea was we see a POV of them rising like up and up through the Nile, and then the idea was when he goes, we see the opposite POV, but it just wasn't enough. It just was like a lot, and I was like, you know, this looks good. You know, I think Andrea draws Pokemon water, which I
Is that a
enjoy.
problem? Okay,
No, I love it.
like,
No, I love it.
okay.
It makes it look so crisp. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like if you parch, just read this comic. So yeah, I have that, and I think it's cool to see. And this is another thing of, I think, like, we see Osiris, we see Isis kind of operating, like we kind of see these little moments where we kind of see like, okay, how they operate on their own. You know what I'm saying? And I like this moment a lot. Something I told Andre that I was super conscious of was the fact that like their anatomy matters, right? Like Set's mouth is lower, it's longer than like a human mouth, so we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware that Isis's wings are gonna be really horizontal. So something I was cognizant of that I think you can see here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't make sense for that last bubble for the tail to go like straight to his mouth. Like, it should go to his snout, to me.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Lettering, I didn't even consider where the mouth would be in the lettering. Um, no, that's a good point. The female characters in the comic, I don't think that they get really any time prior
Mhm.
to this. I didn't feel like they were shaped characters for me to care about when this page got here. Anything you want to say towards that?
I think you get, like, the idea is that you kind of get their deal. You know what I'm saying? It's run and gun.
You get the
I call
deal.
it, you get run and done characterization. Are you
Mhm.
supposed to care about like Osiris's feelings in terms of like, are you supposed to cry with her? No, but it's just kind of showing. It would have been like, for instance, what we could have done if we weren't thinking that hard about it, we could have just had her like get out of bed and go. But
Yeah.
she's the goddess of maternity, so she is delivering a baby, you know.
Mhm.
And in that instance, she hears that and she snaps into, like, you know, warrior mode essentially. So that was super important. So that's what I would say. Like I said, none of the characters are super duper, I would say, super duper characterized. I think it's like letting the art do the work, letting the lore do the work as well. But so I don't think it's an unsubstantiated, you know.
So we're going to stop here then for just a second and talk about the next issues. What kind of plans are you planning for these characters in the next issues, characterization
Bro,
wise?
I think you would love if your critique of and again, it has to stand on its own. But if the critique is that this doesn't feel like new, the rest of it is completely new. In a lot of ways. Like, we get it kind of pivots from Set or Osiris being the POV character to the narrator. And it's gonna be, I don't even want to spoil it, bro. Like, it's gonna be fucking crazy. I'm so
Okay.
excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. We understand. I will check it out and we will argue that next. Let's go ahead. We'll see the next page. We'll see the next page. We have the reveal of the body. Go ahead and let me know what your plans were. When you were writing these scenes and you're trying to do your story beats for these pages, what were you trying to hit?
So I think that your thing about like it just being the lore, I think this is your one of the stronger points that you could like. I think the coffin scene, I think like we had our own thing. Now, I don't know that he turned green once he got out the casket. I feel like that might be like kind of like a creative like wrinkle, but I'm not entirely sure. For me, this was kind of just like meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. And if the complaint is that Set shows up kind of quick, I hear you. I'm not mad about it. Like that's fair.
No
Like
complaint
you
there.
know,
No complaint there. This is normal, right? Like this is regular writing. I need him to be here. He's here.
yeah. Like I guess the idea is that he says, I've never known the river to be this shallow, you know. So I guess we kind of like we do a little bit of the lampshading a little bit, but and I don't like lampshading, but you know, a lot of shit has to happen really quickly.
Real quick, lampshading. Go ahead and explain that for everyone
So-
who doesn't know. Me too.
So the idea that the gods, so that lampshading is like you hang a lampshade on it. So it's like you have a problem. The Deadpool movies do this all the time. You have a problem or what could be an issue, and then you point it out, and that's supposed to like at least let the audience know that you're aware of it. So the lampshading here would be like the gods have chemistry or they don't. Hakimi's complaint is that they don't have chemistry. Boom. We already kind of worked that into the narrative anyway.
Okay. Anything else to say on the pages then?
Nah, yeah, no, it looks good, but
Nah, yeah, okay.
I think
fine.
I think like this is not like where the comic is at its best. I think this is like just if you were to take this and be like, hey, if you're complaining about like, oh, this is just a Bible story, I think this would be applicable. And I'm like, all right,
This
cool.
that was one of the main things. Is I kept thinking there was this story about the multicolored coat or whatever. I read it as a kid. It was a Bible story, and I kept going over it, going, I keep thinking about that story when I'm reading this, and it was my biggest complaint for the whole book. But so far, the art's incredible. There's some good scenes in it. We're gonna move. I think this is the last page, and this was my final complaint was again. I didn't care about the female characters that much, and so her having the final scene did not affect me as hard because it looks like it should really matter to me. Let me know what your thoughts were when you were writing this and what you wanted everyone to feel by the end of it.
I don't think you need to feel for her again. And again, I'm not trying to be like this.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think this is again
Final
about
complaints. Sorry.
the world building, right? So this is about like the effect that she's having on the mortals, right? Like,
Yeah.
and this would be a thing where I think like, yeah, I think you could give more credit at least based off of your like your initial. I think this is when we kind of do a hard kind of new kind of reset. Like it also like there's a lot going on. Nephthys is crying as well. Is that some foreshadowing? Who knows?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? And then like the fact that her tears become they flood the Nile.
Mhm.
Basically their squabble or their whatever the four of them got going on is now affecting the mortals. And I think like that's something that I care about a lot, you know. And I thought like the fact that her tear like to me this last panel on this first page is like great, you know what I'm saying? Great physical storytelling, whatever. And then the second panel, and this is kind of where I'm like, this is where I think your argument gets the weakest, because it's like there's no like VO for the lore, you know what I'm saying? Like this is now to me about this character, and we're seeing the cause and effect of this squabble on the ordinary person. So that was the point. That was the point of emphasis. So to me, this is like one of my favorite like kind of 2-page kind of spreads. Like we were kind of leaning into the lore, and we kind of pull away from it.
Thinking about the fact that this again is a continuous series. Again, this was in my head. This is how it ended, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is the ending of a book." I'm confused. I like the idea that foreshadows a lot. I like the idea of it flooding, and then like, oh, here's the new problems we're about to start facing from everything. Any final statements you want to make on this book before we close out?
Yeah, I want to give credit to the art team, of course. They did and they did an incredible job. This was a bit of a response to people that kind of just write me off as just somebody who doesn't care about craft, who doesn't care about storytelling. This is an example to me of a book that looks professional. You know, like, is this something that's on the level of like a Dark Horse? I think like at times, you know, like I don't think it's not quite there, but this is something that if I have to show somebody and be like, hey, I understand visual storytelling, I can put an art team together, I can make a really good book. This is what I would show them. So to me, this was a bit of like a let's shut some people the hell up. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for reading it. Yeah.
It does good jobs as the storyboarding, and like you were talking about, it kind of feels like a movie. The art's fantastic. Three final things for you. The first is when writing a story like this that comes from already established history, how much research do you believe a person should put into before they put pen to paper?
I think if it was like about the fact that it's about Egyptian mythology, there's no like canon, right? Like it's not like I don't think people believe this happened, right? Like it's not like Jesus died and came back, where people, you know what I'm saying? Like people but people believe that were like those were real events. You know, so I don't think you have to like go super duper crazy in terms of research. Like to me, I knew the lore, but I couldn't piece it together. Like, all right, what's like whatever I have a premise, it's kind of like, all right, I have the bones, but like what makes me care about this? What can I inject in this that's like, okay, now I personally, me, Anthony Stokes, gives a fuck about this story. And it was set story, you know, that feeling of being isolated, that feeling of being ostracized, you know, not feeling like you belong. I was like, yeah, that's a great part. That's a great place to start telling a story. So it wasn't like research in terms of like research didn't make the book. It was kind of like, all right, what are these beats? Do I lean into them, or what can I do to like, you know what I'm saying, fix these up?
Interesting. Okay. I was curious how much you put into it. Second thing, where can people find you on the internet?
Where can people find me? I'm on the Comics Creator Hangout Discord.
Hey.
No, I'm on you know, I'm on Twitter, Stokes the Writer, Facebook, Ant Donovan. You can find me at your local convention, hopefully, you know. Yeah, so I'm at.
All right. I love it. Final is I've been editing together while live all of our arguments. I'm going to show a quick highlight reel of how the fight went. So are you prepared for this?
Let's do it.
Here we go, baby.
Dog, I'm like, I don't like, how do you fuck you even get that angle? for the yo, I was like, yo, this dude is sick. If he could really like on the fly edit all this stuff.
That was on the fly. We made that.
Yeah, that was
thank
us.
you. Thank you again. I appreciate Anthony Stokes for showing up. I really do respect you. Fantastic time I've had, but you guys all have a wonderful night.
Bait for the bait drill. Trash for the trash throw. Welcome to my emotional thunderdome. I am creative, nothing